are listening to WCCR 94.5 LPFM in Williamsburg, Kentucky.
In a galaxy far, far away.
If that wasn't the world's geekiest intro, I don't know what is. But it's great to be here. You're listening to Jordan and
Russell
here on WCCR 94.5 LPFM. And if you've just stumbled upon our show, this is a big one. This is our post Comic Con recap, debrief, awesomeness after attending Wizard World Comic Con in Louisville last weekend.
So see, it really wasn't a galaxy far, far away, but
more like a city far, far away.
Like three hours almost, you know.
Complete with aliens and superheroes.
And a trip to Skyline Chili afterwards, which was fantastic.
So I had Chipotle afterwards, so I mean, it was definitely a universal way from Williamsburg, Kentucky.
It was, I know this is not Comic-Con related, but Jeremiah and I sat down at the Skyline there in Louisville because they finally got one there, and I was ecstatic. And I sat down, the waitress was like, so how are you guys doing tonight? I'm like, fantastic. I'm sitting in a Skyline Chili, about to have Skyline from the restaurant and not frozen. It's fantastic. But yes, you are listening to WCCR Goes to Wizard World, Louisville Comic Con.
WCCR Goes to Wizard World.
It's
It's catchy.
Okay, so I just got to start out with this, asking this. With this being your first con that, Comic Con that you've been to, how was everything from your mindset? Like,
wow, it was incredible. It was probably the top experience of 2014. So far, yeah. I know we're only a few months into it, but definitely the top experience of 2014. Had a blast. Met a ton of just really cool people, and got to see Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and meet some other celebrities and make new friends, and saw a bunch of people in costume. And oh gosh,
corrected one person in costume. At least you corrected one person that I've seen in costume. I don't know.
Did I? When did I do that?
Her posterior was hanging out slightly.
Yeah, well, one of those things about, you hear all the Comic-Con girls that are there really just to dress slightly provocatively in costume and run around because they can. And, well, we had one girl that had a wardrobe malfunction, so got to help her out a little bit. But, no, it was an incredible experience, and I can't wait to go again. I could see how some people would just want to do this every weekend. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. I do want to dress up in the future and get to do that for a day.
Well, you have a year to plan now because it stands right now, March 27th through the 29th once again. They're going to be back in Louisville 2015 for Comic-Con once again. So, I mean...
So basically we could hit Atlanta and then hit the one in Cincinnati and then go to Louisville again and just hit those same 3 every year and never grow old in our nerddom.
And there's one in Knoxville as well that will be coming up.
A Wizard World one?
Not Wizard World.
Oh, yeah.
But, of course, I think they're in St. Louis this weekend.
Yeah, and then Salt Lake City after that, something like.
So they're getting around. They're getting around. But for the first ever one in Louisville, I thought it was actually a pretty solid turnout there. For
tons of people and so busy. And every panel, I don't know which ones you went to, but every panel I went to was packed. So really great turnout. It was just really efficiently run. The volunteers were super friendly. There was just this great element of camaraderie. And I don't know if it's like that at everyone, but it was fun. Lots of, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but lots of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Tons.
Yeah. Lots of fezzes and sonic screwdrivers.
And bow ties and suspenders and
TARDISes.
Mostly 10 and 11. Tardai? I think that's a plural. Time and relative dimension in space is... Yeah, I don't know if there's a plural for TARDIS, but so lots of really outrageous and fun costumes. There was a full thing of the Avengers walking around with Thor and Iron Man and all the different Avengers, and so saw this guy dressed up in like a skeleton that was probably 12 foot tall, and he was really scary. Lots of kids. I think that was one of the things that surprised me the most, is it was very family friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was intentional, but there were tons of kids running around and their families, and full families dressed up, which was just really cool to see.
Now, you and Jeremiah seen it. I did not, but there was apparently a fully functioning Dalek
Oh my gosh.
going around the convention
There was.
center.
It was, I don't know who was inside that thing, but it was awesome. It was taller than I was. It was perfect. I could have walked off the set. I was very impressed. There was another girl who's dressed up as Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, and she had a giant dragon on her shoulder. And it was beautiful. One of those beautiful pieces of art that I had ever seen. And this dragon was like the size of this desk I'm sitting at. It was crazy. But yeah, there were several just detailed costumes that you could tell people had worked on for lots of time and put a lot of time and energy and money into it. So costumes were awesome. The artists were awesome. That's going to be my most overused word and related to Comic-Con. But I just had a great time.
I mean, you got the experience of actually going up on Friday, right?
I did, yeah. I went up on Friday.
Okay. So you kind of got to rub elbows with some of the big wigs and
yeah, one of the after events, which was really fun. They did a kind of like a creative contest almost, and they had a couple of different prompts, and so that some of the artists, just all amateur and professional, got together and drew based on the prompts and wrote a story based on the prompts, and they gave away prizes to the winners, and it was just a really cool chance to meet people. And I met Manu Bennett from Arrow there. Met just a really wonderful woman named Vaughn, who's a casting director out of Atlanta. Just meeting with some of the craziest people.
I wonder if she doesn't even work with Walking Dead, because Walking Dead, that's majority of where they film it.
There are a lot of people that actually film in Atlanta and down in Georgia. It's a pretty popular location.
Oh, really?
So, like Vampire Diaries films down there in Georgia. I think the originals films in Louisiana, but they've been in and out of Atlanta too. I met a girl who worked at one of their theaters down there in the box office, and I guess the originals was in there using the theater as one of their locations. But yeah, so just a big conglomerate of people from all over the country. There were people that drove 8-10 hours to be there, specifically to see Matt Smith, because that was probably one of the biggest events all evening. But
I really think that was their big draw for
this particular
Comic-Con
event. Yeah,
I mean, and what better way to start out than starting out big?
Right.
And the room was bigger on the inside, of course.
It was.
But a lot of cosplayers there. Remind me, the guy that was cosplaying as the 10th.
Oh,
took a picture with.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'd
It's
have to look up his name.
I think it's David something. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, amazing 10th Doctor cosplayer. I think it does it professionally. Doesn't as professional as one can get being a cosplayer.
And before the Matt Smith panel, they actually were showing the footage of the Doctor Who fan filming that they do, like with the 10th Doctor and all that, and a lot of good stuff in there. I think they're working on their next season, actually, currently, or wrapping up their current season, they said. Eric Smoke, I think Moran, is one of the basically...
He's one of the actors in their Doctor Who show or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's basically Captain Jack's job in Torchwood without Captain Jack being there. Like,
just
he's
the American version. Yeah. It was
it
was definitely a cool aspect to the convention to have that. I guess they got a tag from the BBC or something, and so decided to show their newest episode, and that was really cool. The fan panel that they did for Doctor Who on Wednesday was awesome. But Sean Astin, and we're going to do a whole section on celebrities later, but went to his panel. He was so cool. A star of Rudy, and unofficial star of Lord of the Rings as Sam, famous from the Goonies. Just a great guy. I would love to just really, to be honest, sit at his feet and say, please talk to me, tell me your wisdom. He's just so deep and intense, and just a really interesting person. And of course, he did do one of the lines from Two Towers and go into one of the speeches in accent, and it was like, I think there was a collective They all came from the audience during that particular section, but it was really sweet. So, not your first con, but favorite parts about this one?
The Matt Smith panel, definitely. Team TSD actually done a panel on The Walking Dead and talking about the current season, and basically, of course, this past Sunday was the season finale. So we were talking about predictions for the season finale. You know, who's going to die and this, that, and the other, giving away prizes and all that. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter, Team TSD. They talk about everything, all the Supernatural TV shows. They talk about Vampire Diaries originals,
yes,
Supernatural, of course, and Walking Dead, obviously. But the video that they posted on their Facebook page, I make a cameo in it.
You're actually in their video?
I'm
That's
actually
cool.
in their video. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but I'm singing in the audience, and it shows me there in my orange and white pride, my Tennessee hat on, and everything.
Representing Tennessee.
Representing. I had of course, my marching band jacket on as well. So.
And you see, I got you.
Yeah, represent both.
Your loves.
But I mean, they had a very good panel, a lot of great discussion from the fans, and I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the fans, you're coming in there, and you know, you all have a common interest. You may not know one another, but you have a common interest, and you can connect with that. And a lot of the fans on the Walking Dead panel that were spot on as far as that. There was a pro wrestling panel that, due to Randy Orton's lack of timing, I'll put it that way. Well, you know what? No, I want. He was 90 minutes late to the autograph signing, and I'm not sure if that was because of flight issues.
I think he was driving in from St. Louis. I talked to one of his handlers at one point who said that they'd run into a lot of issues on the drive.
But that was a big topic during that panel, because he was still signing autographs. So
instead of being at the panel,
a lot of people were there. Well, no, he wasn't even scheduled for the panel. It was just the guys from WrestlingAudio.com. They were conducting this panel with talking about wrestling, and there weren't a lot of people in there. The main, I guess the die-hard wrestling fans, whoever had already met Randy Orton, or were just there to mainly talk wrestling.
Yeah.
Was in there talking wrestling, and actually in talks with them to maybe Mo Lightning come and talk with us on Figure 4 Fallout, of course.
Hey, that'll be cool. Tag to your other awesome pro wrestling show.
Yeah.
Shameless self-promotion.
They mentioned coming on our show and us coming on their show. So
that'd be cool.
Cross-promotion and getting the word out there, talking about a common interest. So
yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think that's one thing that makes Comic-Con so special, is we're from a pretty small area, and you may have your couple of friends that are just as obsessed with whatever your favorite fandom is. And so you feel really insulated from the rest of a fandom. You can hear something that's really popular, but you only know a couple people that really like it. Well, when you get to something like Comic-Con and you look around and like that, the Karen Gillan panel or the Matt Smith panel, you look around and there are 1,000 people in that room or more that are equally passionate and obsessed about your favorite thing as you are. And so you feel just for that moment, you're like, I am not alone. These are my people. And it's just a really just outrageously fun experience. But you also get exposed to some new things too.
And I mean, and you make new friends, of course. The first off, which the interview we're going to be playing here momentarily was Rob Pryor. You got to talk with him, a fantastic artist. Oh my goodness.
He's brilliant, right?
Yes.
If you haven't checked out any of Rob's art, I strongly encourage that you guys go online and do that. He's extraordinarily talented, and so we'll get to hear a little bit about from him in just a second. So yeah, definitely the artists were probably one of the biggest surprises as well. It's just getting to talk to them and just be surrounded with these aisles and aisles of talented comic book artists who can use mediums from just like wood to paint and markers and ink, and it's just these awesome sketches. I have one artist that's currently drawing me up as Amy with Matt Smith, so that's going to be really fun. I can't wait to get that in the mail. Yeah, so that's I'm going to frame it and put it up on my wall.
Adam, is it Adam or is it Rob that's doing that?
Oh no, it's a different artist. But anyway, so like we were talking about Rob Pryor, just a really cool guy. I had the opportunity to speak with him, met him at the event Friday night, actually. So cool guy. He's best known for his comic book work with Marvel and DC Comics, as well as he was a storyboard artist for some advertising efforts with Budweiser and Nikon, and helped with some assorted video games, including Terminator 3 and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So just a cool guy, and now we're going to get to hear a bit from my interview with him.
Jordan coming to you live from Comic Con in Louisville. I'm standing next to the one and only Rob Pryor, who's currently drawing a stormtrooper right in front of my eyes. It's pretty sweet.
Woohoo!
Yeah, Rob, say hello. You're listening.
Hi.
We're in southeastern Kentucky, is where our station is. So
Oh, fantastic.
Deep south in the mountains. So Comic Con, how's it going so far?
It is going fantastic, my dear. The fans have been fantastic. Everything has been great. I love it. I love it all.
You helped host a fun event last night. Got
Yes.
to meet some amateur artists and some professionals. How was that experience?
You know what? It's always fun. I host all the artist pro-ams for all the Wizard Worlds across the country, and every time is just amazing. And I have to say, Kentucky's been awesome.
All right, way to go, Kentucky. So one thing I'd just love to hear is just a little bit about your process. You were telling me just a minute ago that some of these pictures you can do in 15 minutes when you're in your studio. When you're doing one for the very first time, what's your process like?
Well, I usually draw it and get it all ready for painting. And then when I take it to the shows, I just sit and paint and go off into my own little world. And I paint with two hands, so I don't know. This show I'm actually I'll turn this upside down and paint it in a minute.
Wait a minute. So you're painting with two hands upside down. That's pretty impressive multitasking. Is that a skill you just developed, or have you been born ambidextrous?
Long story short is this. I was going to be an artist no matter what. My entire family line are artists, but none by profession. So when I was about 10 years old, I thought, what if I lose my right hand? So I switched to my left hand and just started using that for the next couple of years as my dominant hand. And then one day I was published very young, and so I just picked up two paintbrushes and started going.
That's incredible. So I've got one last question for you before we wrap up.
My dear.
I heard that there is a chicken in every single one of your paintings. What's the story behind that?
Oh my God. There was a publisher who hired me to do a book one time, and he said, Pryor, I know you hide things in your paintings, but if you hide something in it, I'm going to fire you. And I was like,
no.
Dude, what would I do? Hide a chicken head in every page? So I did. And
It's been that way ever since?
And it's been that way ever since. Had I known it would stick with the fans, I would have picked something way cooler than a chicken head. But, you know.
But now it is what it is, and
It
people
is
love
what
it,
it is.
and it's a scavenger hunt for every painting.
And that's one of my favorite things is watching everybody look for the chicken head.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Very cool, very cool. Well, thanks so much for taking a couple minutes to chat with us.
And just to let you guys know, I'm Rob Pryor, and I'm here with WCCR 94.5. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, Mr. Pryor. We'll see you later.
Even got a station plug. What was that?
I did. I tried to get that for several other people I interviewed. So at some point we'll have a Comic Con WCCR promo probably come out, celebrity promo.
Oh my goodness!
Which would be cool.
His art was just amazing.
It's incredible.
I know with the Team TSC panel, they actually had a scavenger hunt where the first person to get all the item, or not, at least 10 of the 14 items done, would win a piece of art from Rob Pryor.
Really?
Yeah. So I was going to start that, and by the time I, had took the time to possibly even win, in my mind's like, somebody's probably already.
They've already got it. Yeah, they moved that fast.
So
it's cool. He's just a really talented man, and a fun person to hang out with. And so standing with him actually was probably the coolest person I met at Comic-Con. Out of all of the people I met, this guy was definitely the coolest. His name's Adam Simon, and he was there promoting his new film. It's called Synapse, and just really a neat film idea. So I got to speak with him, and so he was standing with Rob Pryor and kind of doing some dual promotion, because Rob actually did the Synapse poster, was my understanding. So it's just really cool, and we're gonna get to hear from him, and maybe even a tease for something special that might happen on the Cumberland's campus coming up sometime this fall. So without any further ado, we're gonna hear from Adam Simon.
This is Jordan coming to you live from Comic Con in Louisville. I'm standing here with Adam Simon to talk about his new upcoming film called Synapse. So Adam, tell me a little bit about this.
Well, before I do that, if you're listening to this, Jordan looks exquisite today. So just so you know.
And he's a charmer.
Put the voice with an amazing person. That's what you have. So, yeah, Synapse. It's an amazing film. We started off with no money, running and gunning on the streets of LA, getting arrested by the police. And we ended up making an incredible film. It's got Joshua Alba, phenomenal actor, brother of Jessica Alba. You've seen him on a ton of stuff. He was in Alpha Dog.
Right.
Henry Simmons, who was on NYPD Blue. Sophina Brown, who's on Shark. Charlie Boone, phenomenal actor. Will Rubio, amazing actor and comedian. Directed by Kenlon Clark. He got his start in music videos. He's a comic book artist as well.
No way.
Yeah. Him and Rob, really tight, really good friends.
He'd fit in great here.
Oh my gosh. If I had Ken here, this booth, this Comic-Con would not be able to contain the creative power of Rob Pryor, Kenlon Clark, and Adam Simon together. It would be amazing. But the film is a sci-fi action thriller.
Okay.
Very much like Blade Runner. I've been telling people, if Doctor Who in Pulp Fiction had a baby that was raised...
This film.
Yes, that was raised by Ridley Scott, it would be Synapse.
That is both terrifying and thrilling all at the same time.
It's awesome.
Wow.
I'm hugging her for saying that right now. You can't see this, but you can feel the love.
I can feel the love, that's for sure. So when does it hit theaters?
All right, so we're looking for a release in November. The film premieres in August.
Okay.
You can check us out at facebook.com/whatisynapse. And you can also check it out at synapsethefilm.com. There's exclusive content on there. We're giving away stuff to fans
Everybody
all the time.
loves free stuff. And we're a college radio station, so you know how college students love free stuff.
I love college students. I love college students and free stuff.
Then I think Synapse is the perfect film for you to make, then, huh?
It is the perfect film.
Cool.
I mean, anything else that I can say. But no, one thing I will say, little teaser, the film takes place just shortly into the future where the new drug is memories. People get high off of other people's memories.
Wow.
That's the concept.
That is really neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, you've got me already hooked. I am so excited. Now, you're probably not going to come to Williamsburg, Kentucky for the premiere of this particular show, but
I will.
Wait a minute. I'm going to hold you to that. If you say you're going to come check us out.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you want to do a premiere in Williamsburg, we will come. I will bring bring people out there.
There are like 2,000 people in
Done.
Williamsburg. I'll call. Okay.
Done.
All right. That
Done.
sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'll call you up and say, okay, Adam, it's time.
Done. And you have my voice on record. I'm giving you my number. I'm giving you my email. Done.
Perfect. Well, that sounds great. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to tell us about the movie.
Kentucky's amazing.
We're having a pretty good time.
This is great. And I have beard envy with everybody. They have like the sickest beards. I'm playing a Viking in this film in a couple months, and my beard is nothing compared to the beards that I see more.
So, this is totally not talking about Synapse, but what, you're playing a Viking?
I am. I'm playing a Viking. It's a foreign film. The guy's name is Roberto Girot. The name of the film is La Leyenda del Diamante.
Okay.
And we're shooting for 2 months in Mexico.
Wow. In Mexico for Vikings?
Mexico for Vikings. Hey,
Okay, I won't judge.
Americans make films with Nazis speaking in perfect English with no accents. So the Mexican film market has a Viking speaking Spanish.
Okay, but listen, won't judge at all. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, he's basically the coolest person I met.
Judging by that, yes. And I mean, I only got to speak with him a little bit when you introduced me and all that, but from what I seen and heard from him, and especially in this interview, Synapse is coming to Williamsburg.
Perhaps we'll see if it happens. But listen, I am pumped about this film. I think it's going to be really great. I was watching some of the videos they have online and checking out some of the promotional photos, and it looks like it's going to be an incredible film and a really cool concept on the whole. So I know I'm gonna, even if they can't bring it to Williamsburg, then I am all about it. And he mentioned that Joshua Alba actually is in this film. Who's the brother of Jessica Alba. And one thing that is really cool and that Adam and I actually talked about afterward is that Joshua is a Christian and so is really open about his faith. So we'd love to have him on campus maybe to talk about what that's like being a Christian in Hollywood. And so that could be a really interesting convocation for our students, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a top attended combo.
I really think that would actually be a solid combo. That could even be maybe like a Spring Awakening or Fall Awakening, or one of those, or even just one of the night combos or whatever.
It really could be a cool experience. So shout out to Adam Simon for being awesome and maybe getting us connected with some cool experiences for our students here at University of the Cumberlands.
You have his number, so
I do. Cool. And this shout out, I love you, Adam Simon. What? I don't even know. So anyway, yeah, it was really cool. And there was just a couple of people that I met, and but the highlight of Comic-Con, out of all of these different experiences, and the reason I think a lot of people go isn't necessarily to dress up, even to attend the panels. It's always for the celebrities, right? That's what everybody goes. So let's see, who can we remember that was there?
Matt Smith.
Oh, of course.
Karen Gillan.
So big from Doctor Who.
Dean Cain.
Superman fame. Manu
Bennett.
Arrow.
Jason David Frank, of course.
Which we'll be hearing from him a little bit later in the in our radio show.
Scott Wilson.
Okay.
From Walking Dead.
Michael Rooker.
From
Walking
also
Dead.
There. Yeah. Merle Dixon.
Robert Hayes.
From
Airplane.
I'm forgetting his name now. He played the vampire on Buffy.
James Marsden.
Yeah.
Marsters. You're right. Not James Marsden. My bad.
Although that'd been cool if he was there too.
Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later as well. So really a star-studded presentation for a Louisville event. And everybody was just so cool and really open to signing autographs and taking pictures. And I think the fans just had an amazing time. The line for Randy Orton was probably the longest I think I saw, other than Karen and Matt.
Yeah. Which had a wedding proposal, or engagement proposal.
Yes. Now that makes for a good engagement picture. Not gonna lie.
I think that even took them by surprise, like Karen and Matt, because I seen the video of it, and Karen and Matt was like, "What's going on here? Oh my goodness, he's proposing!" Oh.
That is so cute. Yeah. There were just several really surprising moments. Like during Matt Smith's panel, whenever a woman asked him to hold her baby that I guess was born on the 50th anniversary of the show, like that was really extraordinary.
Tasha, if you're listening, that still wasn't our baby. That could have been our baby.
I just don't think she was down with being a week from delivery at Comic-Con. I can't say that I blame her.
I explained to her that Matt Smith could have delivered he's the doctor.
He was asked to do some pretty extraordinary things, but I don't think that's probably high on his list. Delivering babies. I think it's a different kind of doctor, Russell. Probably. You're cracking me up.
Disagree, but he did sing the Doctor Who theme because the kid asked him to, and got the entire audience to do. That was awesome.
To sing the Doctor Who theme. That was a pretty incredible moment.
But I want to give props to Jason David Frank first off, because Jeremiah and I actually went to his panel.
Yeah.
And he's a big Christian, and I didn't realize that about him until. He was going talking about it in the panel and all that, because somebody asked him, how his faith, kind of crossed over into what he does with Hollywood and this, that, and the other, and he was talking about that, and I mean, he was just amazing. And the fact of the matter is, most of the money that he makes off these Comic-Cons is from the fans that buy the packages and the VIPs and the photos and all that. He does not take an appearance fee
Really?
from this. No. He does not.
He goes because he loves it.
He goes because he loves it. I mean, like every single Comic Con or any convention like that he's at, he is there just because he loves the fans and he knows they're dedicated and they appreciate him coming out too. And I mean that by far speaks a lot more to me,
towards him and about him as a person. In fact, let's actually hear from him. I was able to take a couple of minutes and talk to Jason David Frank about his faith, and he was awesome. Was very willing to do the media interviews, and so let's hear from him.
All right. Okay.
Jordan coming to you from Comic Con in Louisville. You're listening to WCCR 94.5 LPFM in Williamsburg, Kentucky, on the campus of University of the Cumberlands. I am standing here amazingly with the Green Power Ranger, Jason David Frank. How you doing, man? How's it going?
Good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on your show.
So thrilled, just completely overwhelmed. So, one of the reasons I watched some Power Rangers growing up was more of my brother's thing, and I'm kind of stealing this interview from Russell and Jeremiah because they're going to be so bummed they didn't get the chance to meet you tonight. But one thing that drew me to you immediately was you have a tattoo that says Jesus doesn't tap. Now, we're coming from a Christian university. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. We represent a lot of UFC fighters. It's kind of like tap out, never give up. And I wanted to come up with the first company of a Christian clothing line in the mixed martial arts industry. I came up with Jesus Didn't Tap, which means that never quit, never give up. Now, you all know that Jesus didn't tap. He could have if he wanted to, called thousands of angels and according to what the word says, but he didn't tap and he didn't give up. He got crucified for all of our sins. He's the strongest warrior of all times. He's the best fighter of all times. He's a champion. I don't need anybody from the UFC. I have Jesus, and Jesus didn't tap. It means to never quit, never give up, and always remember that he, died for our sins, and he is the ultimate champion. And even in the Bible, there was wrestling and boxing, and, so I wanted to be the first Christian clothing line, and I stayed behind the name for a very long time because he is the star, he is the master of the universe. And then they wanted to find out who was the owner, and it was me, and I'm very strong and believe on what I believe in. I'll be happy to walk around and, got shirts everywhere I post. So it's good just to get the message out and tell people a little bit about God so then you can reach out to your own relationship.
That's an incredible ministry, and I am just so odd to see something like that here. So when you go to cons, how often does your faith become a part of just kind of the atmosphere in terms of the comics and the TV shows, and how much is your faith a part of that?
I do VIPs, and like I said, I really try to, 20 years later, I try to continue to be the positive Christian role model that people need. And I teach the kids that used to watch the show 20 years from now how to believe in themselves and overcome and accomplish goals, and to always say the I can attitude, and do demos. And most of the stuff I do here is for fun. I'm not a regular actor that comes on the stage for 2 to 4. I'm the guy that stays till the last person comes. There's no one left behind. And I just think coming out here to this world, I stand strongly on what I do, and I'm not the one to preach, but I'm the one to stand up for God and say, there's one God, and that is Jesus.
To just be a presence in a place where it may not be frequently seen.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really incredible to see, and great talking to you. Don't want to take up too much of your time. You got fans waiting and other shows, so thank you so much for letting me have a couple of minutes time, and maybe we'll run into you later. I'd love to talk to you more.
Hey, I appreciate the question.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Okay. I'm just like, let's have church, okay? Honestly. Even during the panel, you and I are talking off there. We would love to have him here, like I said, he doesn't
and share his
charge an
testimony on
appearance
campus,
fee. But maybe have an autograph signing, maybe do the class that he does for, karate and all that.
Mixed martial arts class,
martial arts.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
How many people could say, I learned self-defense from the Green Power Ranger? What? It's perfect.
I think Maggie would come back from Okinawa just for that one event and then go back.
She would. She absolutely would. Now, we actually forgot to mention one of our celebrities that we have an interview with that you and Jeremiah did.
Yeah. we got to speak with Jon Heder. Of course, Napoleon Dynamite is what he's best known for. We talk a little bit about the very short-lived, unfortunately, Napoleon Dynamite cartoon.
There was a cartoon?
Yes, there was a 6-episode run of a Napoleon Dynamite cartoon. It was fantastic, and I was sad to see it go. Of course, not a big Napoleon Dynamite fan, but
I'm just, he was very nice though. Really, really genuine, really cool guy in person. So
yeah, so we'll go with the interview with Jeremiah Dunn with Jon Heder, and does talk about upcoming projects that he's got coming up too. So here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Louisville Comic Con here, Wizard World, and we're standing here with Jon Heder, Napoleon Dynamite fame, of course, and Blades of Glory with Will Ferrell, and a lot of comedy that's under your belt, if you will.
It's under my belt. It's inside of my pants. And it's twisting my nipples as we speak.
One question I have about is, of course, the Napoleon Dynamite cartoon show that come on, short-lived, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was, well, you know what? If you put all 6 episodes, that's all we did, back to back, you kind of got the length of a sequel. So when people, because I get asked all the time, are you ever going to do a sequel? Well, I say never, but you know what? That might be the closest thing to a sequel. But you know what? Like, Napoleon's kind of one of those properties. I don't know if we've seen the end of him. Mm-hmm. We're all trying to think of ways to bring him back in some capacity or another. So anyways, after throwing out some of those big words, we'll see.
Cool. And what are you working on now? You've got some projects.
Well, I did a couple independent films that hopefully are coming out this year. I did them like about a year ago. So independent films, you never know when they're going to come out. But I believe both should come out this year, later on. And then I just did a pilot for Fox.
Awesome.
Which hopefully will be picked up and come out in the fall.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about that pilot?
Well, it's called No Place Like Home, and it's like the Brady Bunch, but more the modern kind of effed up version about a mom and her son, me, who marries a guy with like a bunch of kids. So it's like having to deal with, kind of like the two worlds colliding.
Is it going to be like a comedy or
it's a
drama?
comedy?
Okay.
It's a comedy.
All right. Well, Jason Frank's people are getting crazy over there, but Jon, thank you for doing the interview with us and taking the time out here. Enjoy the rest of your time here at Comic Con.
I will. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Jon Heder. A lot of comedy under his belt there.
Oh my gosh, that's a hoot. Man, he's funny even without a script.
See, the thing is, his natural voice actually does sound like Napoleon from Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, at least we know it wasn't all acting, right?
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, it was great. Now, next, of course, you got to speak with Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. No, he took just a quick couple of minutes. Had a ton of people in and out of his autograph signing and pictures booth. So we'll hear from Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones and Conan the Barbarian.
Conan.
This will be the fastest minute you've ever had.
Oh, so excited. This is Jordan here on WCCR, sitting next to Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones, Conan the Barbarian, basically a bunch of awesomeness. So, how are you enjoying Comic-Con?
Yeah, it's great. I love it down here in Louisville.
You've had some pretty crazy requests for autographs so far. I've seen a couple of them.
Yeah, I signed a lady's inner thigh / knee, and there's a picture of Emilia Clarke, or Khaleesi on there, and it was pretty cool.
That's so impressive. So, tell me real quick, favorite part of filming Game of Thrones?
Favorite part about filming Game of Thrones? I mean, playing Drogo. I mean, it's a dream role, and I'm probably one of the biggest fans, and was really, really excited when I got the role. So
you were a fan of the books before you had...
I wasn't a fan of the books first. I'm a fan now, but I mean, when it first came by, I was like, they gave me the audition, and I went out and bought the book and started reading it and fell in love with it.
Cool. So now you're getting into filmmaking. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, while I was doing Game of Thrones, I was writing with a partner this movie called Road to Paloma, and spent about a good year and a half putting that together, and then went out and shot it afterwards, and finally going to come out. It's been a 3-year plus venture, and finally we're done. It comes out July 15th. They'll be in LA and New York on July 11th in the theaters, but VOD will come out July 15th. We're really happy for everyone to see it.
That sounds great. Well, listen, thanks for taking a quick minute to say hi to me. I appreciate it. All your fans in Kentucky, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
And that noise at the end was him actually shouting, I think was what that noise was. It was very much a Russell noise. Could have been you. But it was a sign-off, so.
What better way to sign off than screaming very loudly and shouting, hey.
Sure.
Jason Momoa, I mean, a lot of these folks, you got most of these interviews probably Friday night, right?
A lot of them, yeah. A lot on Friday. Friday was definitely a little bit quieter by the time I was there that evening, and then some on Saturday, as I did Saturday afternoon. But yeah, everybody was really willing to take just a couple of minutes, and whenever they were slow and didn't have fans waiting for autographs or whatever. So just really, really nice to the press, and open to getting any kind of promotion that they could. So it was cool. So we are going to take, I think we've got like 8 minutes or so, and just to go in depth with what an awesome, I mean, all the other fandoms aside, I mean, we saw a little bit of Sherlock, we saw a lot of Walking Dead, we saw a lot of comic book fandoms.
A lot of Deadpool.
Yeah, which I thought was really interesting, because I didn't realize that was such a thing.
I was like,
really?
Yeah, a lot of women dressed like Deadpool. Like they like would lift up their mask, of course, and you see, oh, that's a girl.
That is not a guy. That's interesting.
That's not a dude.
But the largest fandom at this particular con was completely Doctor Who. It could have been a Who con for that matter.
Let me tell you. There was one of the vendors, they were selling Doctor Who memorabilia and all that. They had a toy, like from like the 60s or whenever it was, of K9.
What?
Yes.
That's cool.
I seen that, and I sent the picture to the talk show. I was like, ah! Like, I fangirled.
Must have.
I fangirled. I was like, Kennedy needs this.
But listen, it was just, it was so cool. So if we go in to talk about, I did get to, during Karen Gillan's panel, so probably, I mean, despite all the interviews, like, I actually got to ask her a question during the panel. Yeah, so I have that on video. And so for like 0.2 seconds, she knew that I existed, so that was like a dream come true. Hey. Really just sweet and very genuine, seemed really comfortable on the stage, and so that was really, really exciting to get to be that close to her and hear her speak. And then Matt Smith, I mean, wow, total headliner. Gosh, he's still the Doctor, even though he's not, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, a lot of the people asking him questions, they weren't about any of his other projects or anything. They were talking to him about Doctor Who.
Yeah, I did want to hear a little bit about his show on West End, but I imagine that it was just all that, but with his departure so recent and still kind of an open wound for a lot of people. I think that's the forefront of people's minds.
Good night, Pond.
I know. Listen, it was just so good. So that was really probably the coolest thing for me as a Whovian. That just to get to hear them talk about the show and be as passionate about it as we are. Because sometimes the fear is that, you know, we love the show, but the actors don't love it as much as we do. But it was so evident in hearing them talk about it that they had all of these great memories that they cherish and that they care about just as much as we do. And now everybody has to move on with their careers and doesn't want to outstay their welcome. So we do always have to move on. But
I really don't think you would have outstayed his welcome, because I think he was like the most loved by other than Tenet, probably.
Certainly by an American audience.
Yeah. I do want to give a shout out to Todd Ziegler, who is a big Doctor Who fan. Before the actual Doctor Who Matt Smith panel, he was part of the panel that was discussing Doctor Who and what to expect after Matt Smith's departure and all that. But he also done a I can't remember if it's a screenplay or a play.
He actually wrote a musical for the Alley Theater in I actually met him backstage and his wife and their kids, and they're just a wonderful theatrical magical family. But yeah, he wrote a musical called All the Who's in Whoville, and it's like a blend of Doctor Who meets Dr. Seuss, and just heard some really, really good things about it. I think they do a lot of crossover things like that. I think they have a Batman Hamlet maybe coming out. I don't know when they're starting that, but yeah, so they're doing some really, really cool theater up in Louisville. But getting to hear the fan panel, I mean, they had a girl who works with HitFix, who was a Whovian, formerly at BuzzFeed. I'm trying to think who else was on that fan panel, but it was just a really cool thing just to as a fandom to sit and talk things out. What did we want to see out of the next season? What was important to us and what wasn't, or our favorite memories, and just to talk out current fan theories. So it was that was really exciting. The one panel that I just wish that I could have done was on Sunday. And so we all went home Saturday night. And I think, listen, next year, I'm just setting out 3 days. And I'm going to go all 3 days.
I will try that.
It may not work for you, new baby, and all that. I get it. You have a real life. This girl doesn't. But
I might take Kennedy. She has to go.
Oh, you could dress her up as Clara, or as a new companion, or that would be really cute. But her baby Dalek, yes. But anyway, it was a Vampire Diaries and Originals panel that was on Sunday. So just lots of different fun things to do and see. And when you're in love with a fandom, it's something you don't want to miss. I really strongly encourage anybody who is passionate about whatever your fandom is, to go to a Comic-Con. Don't miss out. It's absolutely worth the money to at least go for a day and to be in that environment where you're surrounded by people. It's okay. So for those that aren't, I mean, there are a lot of sports people that also like geek culture and crossover. It's crossing over more, sure, but it's like the Super Bowl. It's like your team goes to a Super Bowl and you're surrounded by screaming, dressed up fans, except you're all into Firefly or you're all into Doctor Who. So it's the equivalent for us as fans. So it's just really, it's cool, and it's a must do for anybody. I know I will definitely be taking my children dressed up to Comic-Con in the future.
If nothing else, at least experience it at least once. That way you can say, hey, I've been to one of these. And I mean, honestly, Wizard World is the main
and they did a phenomenal job.
Convention.
They did a phenomenal job.
I mean, the same people that bring you San Diego Comic-Con, which is
people. The biggie for those that are unfamiliar. That's the Comic-Con. And now I don't know about you, but that's the next step up for me. I want to go to San Diego Comic-Con more than anything, because, that's the real deal.
So you can get press passes. You can go.
I know. Listen, I'll go representing WCCR, going to San Diego Comic-Con.
We could always have somebody here at the board, have you call in when you have interviews.
Best day ever. Yes. Okay. Well, game plan, set and match, done. So we're gonna wrap up with a really the last interview that we have, and this one is a really special interview. So we talked about a lot of different panels. The moderator for all of these panels is a guy by the name of Aaron Sagers, and it was really cool that when I got to meet him, he was getting ready to interview somebody at one of the little stages that was set up in the exhibit hall, and I had been talking to somebody else, and I turned and I realized that it was him, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to interview this guy for our students here at the university who are interested in pursuing entertainment journalism or really any kind of job in that industry, because he knows what that's like and has had a really interesting career path. So he actually agreed to do a quick interview with me before the fan panel, which he was on, of Doctor Who, and before Matt Smith's panel, and so we sat down and just talked about his journey as a professional, as well as some advice that he has for college students that are looking to get into entertainment journalism, and what the best advice and path for that is in his experience. So it was a really great interview, just a really, really cool guy. So we're gonna take a quick listen to some of the things from that interview.
This is Jordan coming to you from WCCR 94.5 LPFM from the beautiful campus of University of the Cumberlands. I am sitting here with Aaron Sagers. Is that how you say it?
Sagers.
Sagers. Okay, I knew I was going to mess that up, but I wanted to, at least I know now Sagers.
Everybody does. It's
Absolutely.
Okay.
So ran into you earlier, and after your awesome panel with Karen Gillan last night, and thank you for being so willing to do this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to do it.
Thanks. Well, so really what I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about was hear a little bit about your story. How did you end up, for a lot of people, I think you have an amazing, ideal job. You get to meet some of your geek heroes, and how did you end up in this field?
Well, first off, let me say I do consider myself exceptionally lucky and fortunate. And so, yes, I'm very happy to have this kind of job. I say that I'm a nerd gone pro, or a professional nerd, and that's sort of the truth. But yeah, I mean, I've been a journalist for about a decade, maybe a little bit more than a decade.
So you did start out in a standard traditional media journalism field, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did study it. I always had a love for journalism. I mean, right out of school, I did some PR work before I got a job in journalism. But, and then I did pursue a master's degree in journalism as well at NYU. And, for me, I did the internships, I freelanced, I then, got staff jobs at newspapers and newspaper companies like the Chicago Tribune Company, and then, made my way through the ranks, became an entertainment editor and an entertainment writer. And as far as the nerdy component, I mean, yeah, I've interviewed a lot of celebrities, but it's really been in the last few years, like 2007, 2008, that being a nerd all my life, reading comic books, watching horror movies, also being a big nerd for like paranormal type stuff, quite honestly. All that kind of came to fruition where suddenly my knowledge that I just grew up with was in demand. So then I kind of became part of the geek media world. And since then, I've worked for CNN, MTV, Huffington Post, done pundit work for BBC.
Wow.
Done a lot of different stuff, and of course I've become a professional host and moderator, and then I also run my own little website called ParanormalPopCulture.com, which was the basis for a TV show on the Travel Channel called Paranormal Paparazzi, which I hosted and co-executive produced. So, long answer, but...
No, that's exactly what I'm looking for. No path to that kind of a career can be the same for any one person, but so definitely you would say these internships helped you build the experience, and then making connections and doing the networking is probably key here.
Yeah, networking, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of higher ed. I don't think it's necessarily for everybody, but it really worked out well for me because it put me in a position where I was, again, for my program, I was working with people that inspired me, but also they were working in the field. They were still working in the field, and then could help me network and connect with the right people. To be a journalist, really, I mean, it's hard. It's a hard gig. You have to do it because you love it, not because you're going to get rich or famous. But really, what I would suggest to people is, like, the power is really yours. You can, if you want to be the foremost expert on brisket in Kentucky, what do? You start a website and you write about it, and you do a kick's job writing about it and focusing on it and talking to the right people, and then you develop a niche, and you own this little corner of the world, So the ability, the power is really yours. You don't have to just go through the internships or just work as a cub reporter, if those even exist anymore.
So really, you caught up on my next question was, if you had any piece of advice for college students, it's maybe start yourself. Don't be afraid to start today. And pursuing whatever it is you want to be an expert in.
Yeah, this is sort of my take, and I have been an adjunct professor at NYU and also within the SUNY State University of New York system. So I work with students, and I love doing it. I love academia. But I mean, what I would say is, this is such a unique time where all these tools are at our disposal, that if you want to put together a great blog, if you want to put together great video content or a podcast or whatever, you can do that on your own. And what's also cool is that it freaks out the people in old media or the people that have been in the business a long time, because, you know, they're trying to catch up. They're trying to figure it out, and they have the same tools as you. So you can go out there and, like, you don't necessarily have the experience, but you can get that. You can achieve by, you know, really focusing on this stuff and owning a space.
Absolutely. Cool. So I do want to ask, in the next couple of minutes, the big draw for Comic-Con here in Louisville is, Matt Smith is doing a panel later today. I saw in an interview that you said that Matt Smith is probably maybe one of your favorite doctors, going up against Tom Baker. What is that like as a fan, and then as a professional, to get the chance to interview him and moderate a panel with him?
Yeah, well, I've interviewed Matt Smith multiple times over the years, which is cool. I mean, I'm still very much a fan of Matt Smith as the Doctor. But what's especially unique and especially special for me is that I have interviewed him over time, and I saw him, met him, interviewed him when he was first taking over the role to now, you know, his entire tenure. So it sort of feels like a full circle, you know, a little bit for me, and that is kind of cool. But yeah, he certainly is a great Doctor, and I grew up with Tom Baker, so, you know, he was my first Doctor, but I think Matt Smith really did an amazing job, and I also think he was truly the first American Doctor. David Tennant did a great job to forge a trail, but I think Matt Smith is the first American Doctor.
Yeah, in terms of somebody that an American audience, and even a global audience to a certain extent, can connect with and started a fandom out of. No, it's incredible. Any takes on Peter Capaldi?
I mean, look, I'm looking forward to it. I think change is always a difficult thing, not just within Doctor Who, but within fan culture overall. But the important thing is to maintain your enthusiasm and give a person a shot to be good at it. And that includes J.J. Abrams on Star Wars, or this actor, you know, Ben Affleck taking over Batman. Like, you know, love the things, love your nerdery, but, you know, also give people a chance to do a good job, you know. So I'm excited about Peter Capaldi. I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes. I really appreciate it. For those that are listening, where can they find more from you?
I would ask them to kindly reach out to me on Twitter at Aaron Sagers, which you can also do that on Instagram, Aaron Sagers, and heck, say hi to me on Facebook as well. And then if you have some time, head on over to paranormalpopculture.com, which is sort of my own little space, and then look out for me on, you know, TV, Huffington Post, everywhere where I'm writing about nerd culture. And if you come to a con and I'm there, please come up, say hi, say you heard this podcast, and we'll geek out together.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
And that was Aaron Sagers, and yeah, it was cool. It was a really neat interview. So I think that wraps up the end of this Louisville Wizard World Comic Con recap adventure.
All right. Any final thoughts on Wizard World as a whole from you?
They really were exceptional, and this will not be my last Comic Con. Hands down, not going to be my last one.
My now second comic toy nerdery convention, if you will, that I got to attend. I mean, it was. I think this one was much better than the one I attended last year. Now, given the fact that last year's was, I think, kind of under new management, and I guess they're kind of working the kinks out. But I mean, these are Comic-Cons are always fun to go to, and you get to meet and talk to some of your fantastic fans. I mean, you know, this year we got to talk to Jon Heder, Jason David Frank, Jason Momoa, all these different people. You know, last year I got to speak with John Barrowman. I've got to speak with Colin Baker, who of course played Doctor Who as well, in different wrestling personalities. So not only as a member of the press, but as a member of, you know, a fandom.
Yeah.
You know, you see these people, and it's an experience that you would never think that you would get to experience. But when you do, it's just like, I can't believe that just happened. I need more.
That's exactly the truth. Yep.
So I definitely, this won't be my last one. I definitely want to try to go to the one up in Cincinnati in September. I want to try to get back to Louisville next year.
Yep. So maybe we'll do this again in the fall. How's that sound?
Hey, we'll plan for.
We'll make it a tradition.
Now.
WCCR does Comic Con. Done.
Hey, that would be great if we could do that every year. WCW, Lord have mercy, I'm thinking wrestling.
You've been doing that way too long, bro.
WrestleMania is around the corner this weekend, so that's why my mind is there. But every year, just maybe an annual event or whatever. WCCR goes to Comic Con, and we can even get it like trending on Twitter. Because I mean, no, seriously, any tweet that I posted that evening, I would put hashtag WCCR at Comic Con.
Oh, see, I didn't know we were doing that. I should have done it.
I'm going to be honest. I thought of it on the fly.
Maybe we'll do T-shirts too next year. We'll have lots of fun stuff. It's going to be great.
We'll dress up. We'll dress up Kennedy like a Dalek. I'll dress Tasha like Amy. I'll dress up like Roman Rory. It'll be good.
Done. It's perfect. It's perfect. Cool. Well, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. We had a great time. We hope you enjoyed hearing from the different celebrities and hearing about our experiences. You're going to be able to check out this recording online, probably on the WCCR website, ucumberlands.edu/WCCR. We're also going to put the interviews as individual clips. You can listen to those again on YouTube as well, probably tomorrow or sometime this weekend. So be looking for that. And just a big thank you shout out to all the people at Wizard World and their PR and press team. They were outstanding, and we had a great time. Yes,
of course, especially because he's the one kind of handling press.
Really appreciate it. Spoke to him a lot. Just put up with a lot of questions for me. So big thanks and shout out to the people at Wizard World for a phenomenal weekend experience. Thank you so much. You're listening to WCCR 94.5 in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and this is Jordan and
Russell, and we will see you next year, hopefully, at Louisville Comic Con. Of course, tomorrow, don't forget, is our big Figure 4 Fallout WrestleMania edition.
Don't miss it.
Who knows? We might go 4 hours just like WrestleMania, talking everything WrestleMania. We'll be having our inaugural Figure 4 Fallout Hall of Fame, inducting the first 2 members. So be sure to tune into that tomorrow, 6 to 8. Who knows what's going to happen next? But for Jordan, for Jeremiah, who is here in spirit.
Yes.
This is Russell saying we'll see you next year for Louisville Comic Con right here as WCCR goes to Comic Con.
Good night.